Hey there! What's this pretentious bollocks going on behind us? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It is with the greatest pleasure that I can introduce the new expansion to my channel, Long Life Trading, called Let's Talk, in which I will invite industry-leading people, world-class traders, and anyone who can provide an interesting conversation related to trading or companies. These talks will take place with sporadic irregularity, and in this premiere episode I have the great pleasure to sit down with Jonas Nebuchad Danielsson, one of the best poker players in the world during the golden era of online poker, and who is now, since many years back, a professional trader. Look, here he comes, right on time. Let's get on board, shall we? So, welcome to this new series, Let's Talk. This time I have Jonas Nebuchad Danielsson with me. Jonas is both a dear friend of mine and also one of the top online poker professionals in the world when poker was really big between 2005 and 2010. Welcome, Jonas.
Thank you, Robert.
My first question, of course, why didn't you get a bigger one?
Bigger one?
Yeah, your jet.
Oh,
economy size.
Well, I got a good deal on this one when the SAS went bankrupt, I guess.
Jonas is a professional trader today. You mainly do day trading, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes. So Jonas went, just like myself, from being a professional poker player and became a professional trader. So we're going to talk in this episode about the transition and what things you got for free from making that transition and what adversities you have been facing on your journey as well. So tell me, first of all, how did you get to playing poker?
Well, I guess I started like everyone else during the 2000 poker boom.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine, childhood friend of mine, started playing. I was at the university at the moment, studying technical physics, civil engineering education. And then I started getting these texts from my friend saying I won this amount last night, I won this amount, And then I got really curious about poker, and when there was a winter break, I went home from university to my hometown and visited him and watched him play and studied poker really intense for those 3 weeks. And after that I started playing poker more or less on a professional level almost at once, really.
So you fell in love with the game and then you decided to take it to the next level kind of immediately?
Yeah, I guess I've always been interested in gambling. I sports betted when I was younger, betted on horses. Poker was also a fun way to bet, so yeah, I've always been interested, I guess.
You said at some point, actually last week over dinner, you said that once you started playing, you kind of did nothing else. You just played poker.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a key component to your success?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you're going to be good in anything, you really need to put in more hours than your competition. So yeah, sure, that was definitely a key component. I wouldn't have been so successful otherwise.
Right. Is there anything you regret from your poker years that you wish you had done differently, being older and wiser today?
Do you mean by playing more or less poker?
Whatever you feel like if there's anything you feel you missed out on or would have done differently had you been 20, 25 today?
I guess I might have played more actually than I played a lot, really intensely. But at one point when I got a huge success, I got kind of satisfied with that success. And I might regret being satisfied, actually. If I'm has the same huge success in the future, I'm not gonna be satisfied.
I see.
Yeah.
So okay, so you wish you had played more, but we were talking about it the other day as well. Actually, it was today. We realized that when we both traveled respectively during the poker years, we would spend a lot of time grinding multiple tables at the hotel room rather than actually sightseeing and doing stuff wherever we went. And you said that you regretted not going out more whenever you travel. Isn't that a conflict of interest to what you're saying?
Yeah, that's true. But I guess what I'm getting at is that once you get to a certain level, it's hard to motivate you to improve your game further. And for example, in trading, I have a lot to learn still. And what I mean is that I will not be content with the things I learn in trading. I will try to constantly develop my trading game.
So okay, so if I understand you correctly, it's like this private jet of yours. You won't just reach a certain cruising altitude. You want to go to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. I want a spaceship.
You want a spaceship. All right, that's good. Do you think if you were to have lived whatever you wish you had done now, as in that you would have played even more and not kind of stopped evolving at a certain point, do you think you would still be on the poker scene today? And what stakes would you be playing? Would we see you with Galfond
if I would have continued to play poker?
Yes. And to really push it and to play even more as you kind of wish now that you would have
question. I'm not sure actually, because when I played, I started fairly early. I was kind of lucky to get into poker fairly early in 2005. I don't know, that's at the time when I quit, I felt like there was too much effort to be really good again and play the highest stakes.
Sorry to break in, this was in 2010, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So you felt like the games got quite complicated very quickly in that period?
Yeah, they got quite harder, and I had really stopped working on my game and just I've stopped developing or evolving as a player. When I started, I played quite differently from everyone else and was quite early on really adopting that aggressive style of play. Even though people played similar as me, no one played as... Yeah, I played a very exploitable game, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because
super exploitable.
I played a few times against Jonas, and I mean, you played even higher stakes than I did, and it wasn't that often that I ran into people at the 10-20 games that I felt like, okay, I'm gonna stay out of this guy's way because they're too difficult. But you were fucking hell one of the most tricky players I've ever played against. Whenever I had a premium hand, your hand went into the muck in a heartbeat, and whenever I had, a strong enough holding to pursue it, you would just erase me on every street. I knew I was playing for stack every single time I got into a pot with you, unless I had a premium hand, when you will just mock your hand. Very, very frustrated, I can tell you. And I find it very hard to exploit, because you were not in 5th gear, you were in a 7G Tronic gear all the time.
Yeah, but then again, if you knew how I'll play, it was really exploitable.
Yeah, all right.
To be honest, yeah.
Did you reach a point, I guess then you reached a point where your opponents picked up on that and began to exploit it due to all these HUDs and...
Exactly. Right. When you play an exploitable game, there are really efficient counter strategies to that sort of game.
But still, it took you on a nice ride, and you're cruising at a pretty high altitude at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'd like to, as I said, I like to go higher.
Who doesn't? So tell us, what made you go from poker to trading? Was it an obvious transition, or was it kind of one of those things that was right under your nose all the time, but it took you some time to realize that this was the natural course to go?
When I stopped, I didn't have a plan when I stopped playing poker. I kind of stopped made a one-day decision to stop.
Oh, that's impulsive.
Yeah.
But don't you think or had it been brewing subconsciously for some time, or did it literally
Yeah,
just?
for sure. It had a kind of been brewing, but I was a sponsored player, and my contract was ending the last of December. So then I think I texted my boss, if you will, the Ladbrokes boss, and said that I'm gonna quit playing poker now, and then I never played again, basically, after that thing. And I didn't have a plan, really, but I don't know if I read a book or if someone recommended a book to me about investing or something like that, but I got really interested in investing.
Right. And when we're talking now, we're talking
2010.
2010. Okay, so the very same year you stopped playing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And was it an immediate affection towards trading?
Well,
or was it made more towards investing, as in
it
being
was
a
more
long-term
towards investing,
position?
towards
trading,
investing,
right.
Value investing, Warren Buffett investing, that type of.
Gonna say to the dear viewers here, we spoke a lot. Jonas and I spoke a lot on the phone during that time, and I remember once you said that you had been you spent a few days going through some 50 annual reports companies, and you found one in which you felt that this one actually is undervalued, and that was the Swedish alcohol producer Copperberg. And that stock
cider producer.
cider, yeah, you're right.
Sweet cider.
Sweet cider, yeah, only in Sweden and Denmark and Norway, I guess.
It's really big here in the UK.
It has become big, but when I moved here, they didn't have it. When you asked for a cider, I did that accidentally once, and you get this. It feels like when you know this. The kitchen wipe that has been hanging on the sink for 2 weeks, and then you squeeze whatever is left into a glass and drink it. That's what they taste like here. So they're actually blessed with this Swedish stuff. I think we should ask for a sponsorship for that. No, so you said that you'd gone through some 50 annual reports and that you found value in this company, and
actually I spent 3 months.
3 months even. Then you made some thorough analysis for sure.
Yeah, I think I read all the annual report show most companies actually on the stock exchange.
That's impressive. And what's even more impressive is that this very company it took off some, was it 2,000% over the course of a few years?
Yeah, I think it peaked at 5,000%.
5,000, so 50x return.
Yeah,
that's insane. Was this a pivotal moment in any way to your trading? I mean, if Copperberg had just floated along or made you some 15% profit over the same period of time, or lost you 15%, would you be where you are today? Because a 5,000% return, I'm sure that few people can please themselves in having had even one of those throughout their trading careers or investing careers. Let alone that big.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because that kind of I increased that position along the way, and I couldn't find any other company that was as an attractive investment. So that kind of made me not to make only that investment. Actually, I had that was the only position I had for a long time.
Right. Were you all in it, or were you?
I was kind of all in it.
How big was it in relation to your net worth at the time, if we put it that way?
Well, it was at least 50% of my net worth.
50%?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I increased it a lot during, I bought it first at 7 kronor, then I increased it at 12, yet again at 16, yet again at 25.
Right.
And it peaked around 300 kronor.
That's insane, right? How did that feel? And how what was your strategy when you exited? Did you exit it all in one go, or did you sell off gradually on its way up?
I actually never sold on the way up. I sold on the way down.
But usually, as we all know who trade regularly, even when things go up, there are retracements that you don't really know that they are retracements necessarily until they continue going up again. So how did you know that this was it, and that there's not going to be this is not a retracement or a correction, but its actual way down?
Oh, well, I didn't know that. I still, like, I started out as a fundamental trader. So I evaluated companies, and so I didn't. I just saw that they were losing market share in the UK, especially.
Right.
And I also did some, like in Sweden, we have this company that alcohol is sold by the government in Sweden, and they show all the numbers of every producer, how much they're selling, how many liters, and you can compare them to last year's numbers. And yeah, so it's really easy to see their market position in each segment.
That's smart.
Yeah, and I saw they were losing market share and consistently losing market share. So that's when I started to sell. Yeah.
So okay, so you started off as a value investor.
Yeah.
But do you still value invest? Do you have any
No.
long positions? Because I remember Jonas said during the Corona dip that you suffered a lot on your long portfolio, and then that you didn't want to be put in the same spot again.
Exactly.
Sorry, I answered his question for him even before asking it.
No, exactly. Yeah, so I don't have any long positions anymore, and I'm quite content with day trading, and I really haven't been the last, like since 2015. I started out swing trading basically around.
So 2015.
Yeah, 2015. Right. Before that, I only did investing, so to speak, and basically only copperbergs. And yeah, then when I started selling copperbergs, I started swing trading, and I think the last 3 years I've been doing swing trading and day trading, and now the last 2 years, 1 year, I've been doing mostly exclusively day trading. Still, I had some long positions in swing trading positions during the Corona, and that made me kind of don't want to be put in that spot again where I have heavy positions and things go south.
Right. Yeah, it's understandable. Do you still read the reports, the quarterly and annual reports at all? Or
no, actually, I don't. That's I don't. I always think I'm gonna find some time to do that, but no, I don't anymore. And the reason I kind of stopped is that it's really hard to find undervalued companies today. At least when I compare to how easy it was when I started. So I guess you could say I've been kind of forced to change my trading, investing habits, I guess.
Right. Right, so that's interesting then, because most traders or investors go about it the other way around. They start off trading the minute chart, and then they begin trading the hourly chart, and then they realize they just get hammered, and then they end up being long-term investors.
Really?
Yeah. That's the traditional way people go about it. I think, of course.
Are you talking about beginners?
Yes, as in traders, I'm talking about in general, because most traders lose money, just as in poker. And once they realize that they can't day trade, they begin to swing trade. And when they realize they don't win there either, they just become long-term position traders, as in buy and hold for X amount of years. You you did the exact opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
So so why did you? What was it with swing trading that you realized wasn't for you? That proceed.
Oh, you mean why I started with investing instead of swing trading?
No, rather when you reached the point where you were swing trading, when you realized that I want to day trade instead. What was the extra value in day trading as opposed to swing trading?
Oh well, I guess it's a lot of fun to day trade. Really, it's more action. And when you've been playing poker for as long as I did, you kind of miss that action, and I always miss that kind of action.
So you're action junkie.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess everyone who's involved in either trading, investing, sports betting, or playing poker, or are all somehow addicted to that thrill.
What would you say are the? This is interesting. What would you say are the upsides and the downsides of being an action junkie when day trading?
I guess the upside is that you really long for Monday when
Right.
the market opens.
So Friday evenings you hate them like normal people hate Monday mornings.
Yeah, no, I actually enjoy Fridays for the first time if I compare to when I played poker, I really enjoy it because poker meant usually that Fridays were really busy than Saturdays. And now Fridays means that market close and you can relax and maybe have a pint with your friends at your local pub.
Right.
So that's really nice, and you can wind off because after a week of trading, I get really tired. So I'm kind of exhausted after a week.
Right.
But then after a night, after sleeping in on Saturday and kind of Sunday, then you really want to get back to trading again. Yeah. How is it for you, by the way? I mean, do you long for the Mondays or?
Always.
Yeah.
Yes. And I hate the worst thing ever is bank holidays. I fucking hate them.
There's a bank holiday coming up.
Yeah. There's always a bank holiday coming up, and what I usually do is spend time analyzing charts anyway, and it's there's this famous saying that goes something like, I'm paraphrasing here, I suck at these things. Find something you love and you will never have to work again. And trading and actually running this channel both tick that box for me. So I don't really like to have time off. I feel stressed when I have time off. I don't like to necessarily go and just do nothing or do sightseeing. I've done that already in my life so much. If someone, as I said the other day, if someone were to tell me, Robert, from tomorrow you are not allowed to travel ever again, apart from seeing your family and friends, I would go, okay, sure. And because I've overdone it, and now I want to focus on this stuff. I still played a lot of poker during the poker years, but not as intensely as you did. So I kind of did those things that you kind of enjoy doing now.
Yeah, I really enjoy traveling. That's a really big part of my life and a big passion.
Yeah, I can tell you. You're most often when I text Jonas, he's somewhere different in the world. What's your favorite place?
Well, in the world, it used to be Hong Kong for sure. It's an amazing city. Really dear. And in Europe, I really like Barcelona and Rome as well. Yeah.
Right. Do you trade still when you go on holidays?
Yeah. I always trade.
So it's kind of similar to your poker days, but you go to a cafe and you sit with your
it's
laptop or iPad.
Yeah, it's quite similar in a way. But I work in a regular time. Like when you play poker, you could play for 24 hours, sometimes 30 hours straight, if there was a good game, and that's fucked up your sleeping routines and regular routines.
What about when you go outside of Europe? Because then you might have to go up 3 in the morning to trade, or just to sit up till 2 in the morning.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, actually, since I started day trading, I haven't really. Let's see. Yeah, I've been to China and Hong Kong maybe a couple of times, but yeah, and I've managed to trade, but I've done more swing trading than not so much day trading.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are your goals with your trading? Do you have any, or do you just...
Financial goals?
Yeah, any goal. Personal goal, financial goals, goals. Sounds like stuck a golf ball in my throat. You understand the question despite my porridge.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have a goal. I remember I had goals when I played poker, financial goals.
What were those?
I think I had like I wanted to make. Let's see, how much was it? 5. I don't know. It was like $5 million in 5 months or something. But I felt like that kind of really put too much pressure to have a goal. Yeah, so I don't really have. Well, I like to think of that I have dreams now more than money fixed amount goal.
Right.
And also, usually everyone has like to reach maybe 1 million. That's the first goal everyone has. And then you gotta set a new goal. Maybe you should reach 10 million or something. And the thing is, when you make those goals, you kinda, I felt that you kinda relaxed, and now, oh, what am I going to do now? What goal am I going to? Yeah, so I think goals can be helpful, but also they can be have a negative effect, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Especially if the goal is only money oriented.
Yeah.
I think this is something that comes with time, because I used to have the same when I was in my 20s, that it was my goals were all financial.
Yeah.
By this age I want this much money, and by this age I want this much money. And it actually took me to blow up before I realized that, hold on, money is important, but it's not that important, and
No.
it will only solve so many problems. You will still be stuck with the rest of the problems. I mean, I was never near your net amounts, of course, but still much enough to live a pleasant life. And it happens when you go from having nothing in your teens to reaching that level. I don't know about you, but it happens so gradually often that you get used to it. So it becomes your new everyday life. It's not like you wake up every morning going like, oh, bloody hell, I'm a millionaire. Fucking hell, life is great. You're still stuck with the same problems. And actually, Jordan, what's his name? Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street. I read a quote by him recently. I don't know if this is his quote or if he stole it from someone else. Well, he said that if you want a Lamborghini, chances are once you have worked hard enough to be able to afford one, you won't want one anymore.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, that's.
You had a Lamborghini, so
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
apply to you.
Yeah, I had, but I got rid of it. Changed it for a electric bike instead.
Right, or a Kia.
Yeah.
Also considered when they vote, when they let women vote, which of all car brands is the most unsexy and unmanly. Kia was the...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So advice: don't sell your Lamborghini to buy a Kia. Buy an electrical bike. So what, apart from your financial goals then, which I take it are less important because
Yeah.
you're already at a pleasant stage in your life financially, what other goals do you have in life, and are those goals that can be achieved via trading?
Yeah, I guess. No, not really. Actually, I think. Well, I'd like to start a business that kind of makes a difference.
Right. Like what?
Well, it could really be any difference, but find something that makes that feels more meaningful than trading. I think all traders or poker players have this kind of dilemma that they feel like they're not doing something for society, and they feel like their line of work is basically like making money out of money and not really improving or helping society. So, and I think, or at least for me, that would feel more fulfilling if I could do something like that in the future.
Do you feel that now that you're making money out of money and not contributing?
Yeah, I guess you can find a lot of arguments on both sides really to that question. Yeah, sometimes you feel like that you're not really. Sometimes when I'm sitting in front of my screen, I feel like, wow, is this really what I'm supposed to? Is that why I'm put here on Earth?
No, it's a fun question.
Yeah.
So what's your answer?
Well, my answer is that no, it isn't. There is something more fulfilling and better, probably. But yeah, it's kind of hard because training is at the same time it's so much fun. So it's yeah.
I'm flying private jets.
Yeah. And what about you, Robert? Do you have any other goals than financial goals with your
Absolutely.
life?
Yeah. I think any 20-something-year-old who plays poker and gets successful at it will think that this is life. I thought that I was going to play poker for the rest of my life. I'd spent so many years preparing to play poker or make a living gambling in one way or another. But the thing is, when you're that young and you have a ton of money thrown at you, you become a narcissistic piece of shit. I think that's inevitable, and you think you deserve whatever is given to you. But I reached a point when I was about 25 when I really began to feel. I mean, this was a gradual decline in a way, but when I would log on to my online poker client or go to a casino to play for that matter, where I would feel I would sense a bit of disgust, and also contemplating, like, because you have a lot of time to think between the hands, and I would literally, I wouldn't think it, I would just feel it, like this gnawing feeling that would eat me from the inside, that I'm wasting my time. I mean, the chances of my being here to begin with is so microscopic. Am I gonna waste it playing cards all day? Kind of do it still, because I play a unhealthy amount of, or unhealthy level of canasta, but that's not for money though. I still scream as much as I did when I played poker, but I did have that feeling when playing or when trading as well, which was actually one of the prime reasons why I started this channel, because I felt like I might have something to give back to the community, and if I can teach people by making them feel the mistakes I made myself. Like when you blow up and you lose 90, I actually peaked at a 93% from my top net worth, and that hurts, especially when you do it in your 30s. Because if you blow up in your 20s, it's fine, because all risks come so cheap at that time. But when you're in your 30s, you're meant to be halfway towards building something big, and when you blow up, then it really hurts. So for that reason, when I learned to trade, all channels would only go through like how to draw trend lines and how to do this and that, and they teach you without teaching you. And I felt like I might have something to say here that can save a lot of people a lot of headaches and tears, because if I can make them feel the pain of losing a lot of money, then that might be enough for them to not to do it. Just like when you see heavy violence in the street or real violence documented, you can feel it. You can feel the feeling that the victim is going through, etc. Right, so we're back. Jonas just went to the captain to tell him to fly a bit smoother, because his coffee and champagne is rocking a bit too much.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you, what would you say are the things that, or rather, let me put it this way: what would you think? What would you say helped you out in trading in terms of your poker experience? Has poker helped you to become a better trader in any way, and has it in any way kind of messed things up? Are there any
Yeah,
disadvantages?
yeah. I guess it's helped, and it's been a disadvantage as well. In a way, it has helped is that your mentality after all those poker hands is really stable because playing poker is so swingy. So money doesn't, the swings of losing or winning affects you very little. Um, you could have really bad days in poker, and after a while, you kind of that doesn't affect you anymore.
At all? Do you, even when you have a really bad day, you just brush it off?
Yeah, I kind of brush it off, to be honest. Yeah. Well, I feel bad for maybe. For me, it's like when I play like any sport, like football or tennis or something, and I feel maybe annoyed for 5 minutes after I lost the game. But then it's all just happy, and everything is fine afterwards, and you look forward to the next game.
Right.
Yeah, so that has been a help because I had some really bad days in trading as well, especially when I kind of started trading, because then I had a lot of losing days, really big losing days.
So were those due to bad TA, or were they due to taking on too much risk or setting poor stop losses?
Too much risk, setting poor stop losses. Also thinking that I was better than I actually was.
Right, overconfidence.
A normal mistake that you make both as a poker player and as a trader.
That's all. That's interesting because that was a very common occurrence in online poker. The overconfidence, especially amongst poor players.
Yeah.
That they, especially when they were on a good streak and got lucky, they would think they were the fucking king of the world, and they would just pound the wall until their head broke.
Yeah.
Were you overconfident ever as a poker player?
Yeah, I think I was. But you always get humbled by when you're overconfident. Yeah, something happens that always humbles you. So you're never overconfident for a long period of time, really.
Right, fair enough. And in terms of disadvantages from having played poker, what would you say those are, if there are any?
Oh, disadvantages. What was I thinking? Or
bad memory is one.
yeah. Well, maybe that. Or I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage specifically for poker, but when you come from being successful in one area and you transit to another area, you kind of that successfulness that you had in the other area, you kind of expect that you will have the same success in the new area, and yeah, so you really need to humble yourself and accept that you know nothing and you need to start from scratch. I think I think I have about 5% of the knowledge that you have, to be honest.
No.
Yeah, in I think in trading, yeah, because, or at least a theoretical knowledge, because my knowledge mostly comes from experience, and I haven't read a lot of trading books or anything like that, so it's mostly experience and
trial and error.
Yeah,
Right.
and gut feel that comes from experience, of course.
A common friend of ours, Kalle Kanin, who you know quite well too.
Yeah.
I spoke with him the other day and said that I had you over for, or my wife and I had you over for dinner and drinks, and and he said that this guy, Jonas, no matter what he does, he just becomes the top 2% immediately. How long at least did it take for you to become that? And was that like was it a stroke to your ego to not be the top 2% immediately upon taking on trading? Was that a hard?
You mean if it was a blow against my ego?
Yeah, sort of. As in, so you were used to being a world-class poker player, and then you had to start all over again. And you said that it's easy to get overconfident, kind of within that area. And was that an adversity to you in any way? That you wanted to know more now?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, when I stopped playing poker, I thought I would be as successful in poker in the other areas that I tried, and it's harder to make money. At the time, it was so. It's taken me quite a long time to reach like the levels that the same level of success that I had when I played poker. It's taken me, quite some time.
What, given your current trading state, what would you say are your then advantages and disadvantages? What are your strengths and weaknesses as well?
My weakness is that I'm very poor at putting stop losses.
But you put them still now?
Yeah, I do. Like, for example, right now I have stop losses on, but usually sometimes I don't, and sometimes I keep positions overnight, and that's a huge leak because I get punished for it more than what I feel is the fair share.
So how often have you told yourself, Jonas, you stupid idiot, never do that again, and you promise yourself in the moment?
I do that
never
kind of on a weekly basis, more or less. Yeah,
right.
Usually I make a mistake each day. I make mistakes constantly.
On the other hand, who doesn't? In a way, I mean, they used to say about poker that being a great poker player is not about making the most correct decisions as possible. It's about making the fewest mistakes, and it might sound the same, but there's actually a big difference in the two. And I think the same applies to trading too. That we will always make mistakes. We just have to try to minimize them as much as possible. Not just the quantity of them, but to identify the costly ones at least, and to get rid of them.
Yeah, sure. It's all about minimizing your mistakes and working on them and constantly trying to be better. Better.
Do you have the discipline to clear out mistakes?
Yeah, I do. I try to work, for example, to analyze my plays in retrospect. Like,
all of them?
Not all of them, but I try to, when I work on my trading game, I look back and see, because ideally you should know why you did this at a certain point, and when you look at it in retrospect, you should still find the same argument to why you did this. And if you work on your game, then you should be able to identify mistakes, because it's impossible to make a perfect trade, basically. And you should be able to see where is a better entry point or where it's a better exit point. And what could I have done? Could I have done anything differently here, or was this just bad luck?
Right. Yeah. That's a key thing to identify as well, as in poker. If you get the money in bad and you win, it's easy to repeat this thing again, the same thing again, if you're not aware of it. Do you think you will be trading in 5 years, full time?
I'm not sure. It's a really portable job. You only need a Wi-Fi connection, so I think it fits really well into my life at the moment, where travel is a big part of it. So I'm not sure, but that's yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
Because you mentioned earlier that you would like to do something where you give back to society or add some value. What
Yeah.
things could that be? Because you have been running a few companies as well,
Yeah.
or at least one that I know of, the bicycle one.
Yeah.
But do you have anything else in mind that like in the back of your head that you would like to pursue at some point, or?
Yeah, I might want to, because I travel so much. I I go to Airbnbs and hotels and that sort of stuff. I kind of would like to start a hotel. Actually, that's one idea that I might actually do.
Whereabouts?
Well, I don't know, anywhere really. Yeah.
And to come up with the ideas, or
but in a big city.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So to be the overhead of it, kind of to decide, make all the fun decisions.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Or you will do the cleaning and cooking breakfast too.
No, there will not be any breakfast at my place.
Right. Okay. It's group breakfast.
Yeah, that's
Why no breakfast?
well. I think that for me, like when I go to a hotel, the breakfast, I don't really eat the breakfast, especially not here in England, where you have either a continental breakfast with some cereals and a banana perhaps, and or a full English breakfast. Also, since I'm a vegetarian, but in any case, I don't like full English. That's not my with the white beans and tomato sauce. That's not a favorite of mine. So I always go and look for someone else to eat breakfast. So I think actually you could cut a lot of cost by not having a kitchen or kitchen staff at all in a hotel, just for travelers like me who likes to work from a coffee shop or to find their own brunch spots.
So if I get you right, it would be kind of like a hybrid between a hotel and Airbnb.
Oh yeah, maybe so.
Do you have any regrets with your training at all? If are there any things that you know now that you wish you knew when you started? And would that knowledge have affected your decision to begin trading at all?
No, I don't think I have any regrets. I think there should be. I can't think of any. Do you have any regrets?
Not apart from the learning process that I went through. I mean, I took on much too much risk, and that was the reason why I blew up. Now I'm on a strong path to recovery, but on the other hand, I still don't regret it, because despite waking up most nights with a 220 beat per minute racing heart and cold sweating. I mean, I'm not joking here. This actually happened for quite a long time while learning how to trade. I'm so happy where it has landed me with the channel, and to be able to actually give back. Because had that not happened, if I had not blown up, but rather doubled or been at a status quo of where I used to be before that happened, I don't think I would be happy myself, because I would feel like I would be kind of getting somewhere without really getting somewhere. And at the time, if you had asked me, I would have had it undone in a minute, but or in a second. But now I wouldn't have it undone for any money in the world, because there were other things that happened throughout that course of events that were very valuable to me. I know I've mentioned it to you. I'm not going to go into detail on it here, but something that was much more valuable than any money can. There's no price tag on certain things.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? The experiences and mistakes, they kind of affects us and makes us grow. So you wouldn't want to be without those experiences, really, because then you would be.
What would you say in life? I mean, I guess in poker, let's divide the question into two parts. So first, in professionally, I guess your answer will be in terms of poker, because the swings were greater. And and in life in general, what things would you say are the biggest difficulties that taught you the most, that ended up being the most valuable despite being very horrendous once you went through them?
In poker.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
career-wise,
Yeah.
whether poker or trading, and then also outside career.
My biggest difficulties in life.
Yeah, as in like I had, I blew up 93%, and while it happened, I felt so much anxiety, and I would have had it undone in the moment, but afterwards it's put me in a position where I really want to be, and it made me so much stronger. I hate that cliche, but it's true. So I wouldn't have it undone for any money in the world. If someone were to say, "I'll give you 10 million pounds to have this undone," I would say, absolutely not. Do you have any similar things,
Yeah.
pivotal moments?
Yeah, I think I have several, actually. And I think those experiences, you need them once in a while to get to come down to earth again, you know?
So you see them as humbling experiences.
Yeah,
right.
I do. Yeah, so for example, when I was 18, I started a trading account with the money that I won on horse betting. That was a lot of money for me. It was about 30,000 euros.
Not bad.
No, it was huge for me at the time. And I blew all that money in the IT bubble. So that was really, really humbling. Then
Sorry to break in here. How did it feel when it happened? When you saw your money being decimated on a daily basis? Did you get some sort of a vertigo feeling, or was it?
yeah, I guess you get that kind of a you just feel awful. Feel like the world is ending, really. And when you get caught up like that in that, and it goes on for several days, it's a really horrible. So that kind of wanted me not to get into a position like that again. But then, like when you have success and you get overconfident, chances are that will happen again at some point. And it happened to me in poker. Like I had a really bad experience. I lost $500,000 in 3 days of playing, and I played almost for 3 days straight. And after that, I really, really didn't want to get into a spot like that again. So I was really risk averse after that, and was able to recover and do quite well. So it's kind of like you need those experiences to. They're awful experiences, but also they give something to you if you are willing to learn from the mistakes.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's actually interesting when you mention it, because once these things happen, you're usually at some sort of a high point in your life. So whenever you accumulated at those 30,000 euros or lost 500,000 in your poker career, that was a big fall, because you had gone from a much lower plateau to somewhere where you're not used to being, where you want to be, and then you feel like you're fucking it up, and it kind of runs between your fingers. But what it actually does is it prepares you for an even higher level to be able to handle it once you get there, if you get there. So I guess in hindsight, if you had not had those two experiences, you might have had it now.
Yeah.
When the stakes would have been so much higher.
Yeah. If it's all a straight path to success, chances are that the fall will be bigger and harder.
Absolutely. So now we've been talking a lot about the present and the history. What are your thoughts on the future? Do you think the trading markets will become more difficult as more players traders rather use technical analysis to exploit the same situations. And what do you think about the market future in general? Do you think we're in for? Is it going to be a stable ride in the upcoming year, or is it going to be the opposite, a turbulent one?
Well, the last question, if I start with that, I think I don't have a lot of confidence in the valuations at the moment, but I've been proven wrong for quite some time. As I mentioned before, I started swing trading and day trading more because I couldn't find any good, cheap investments. And I still can't because the valuations is higher than they've ever been.
Yeah.
Not only price, but valuations itself, like PE ratios and those kind of valuation metrics are at their peak. And
it's funny you mentioned that actually, because I was listening to an interview with Jim Rogers. He's a famous investor, position trader. It's quite a wise man actually, and he said that because he was asked about everything going up and a lot of QE money coming onto the markets, and he said that, I mean, you give me $1 trillion and I'll show you a good time, but at some point the money needs to be paid for. And it's kind of, I think there's a lot of truth to that. It's been too much cheap money that we are spending on a huge party now.
Yeah, and I think everyone sees the same thing really, and everyone is kind of just amazed by how high the markets can go. And well, a lot of traders have started accepting that. So I remember when I started investing, a PE ratio of 10 was with a little growth thrown in there was like a normal price. Now it's impossible to find something valued at 20 times profit with a little growth thrown in there. So it's and now like PE ratio of 20 is like cheap now.
What's your take on that? Because I mean, when I speak I speak to a lot of people, and I even made an episode about this where I kind of criticize when people say, "Yeah, but it's different this time."
Yeah, I guess it is. Well, it is different in that way that we have never in history had this much stimulus going on. So that's really different.
But is that a sign of health? I mean, if you're a healthy person, you don't take medicine.
Yeah. It's. I guess it's not a sign of health. I'm not sure exactly what is a sign of, but yeah, I can only notice that stimulus has never been this big, and it looks like it's not going to stop either. And like I said, everyone sees the same thing and think markets and valuation are kind of crazy. I think everyone plays along and will continue to play along as long as possible.
It's funny you mentioned that, because Jim Rogers talked about this in that very interview as well. He said that even if he knows something is a bubble, he will still hop onto it, not because there is any intrinsic value behind it, but because, like the great fool theory. As long as there are people who keep on buying it, you can still make money from it.
Yeah.
That of course leads me to the natural follow-up question. What's your take on Tesla?
I'm very that's like the prime example, I think, of crazy valuations. They make like 100,000 cars each quarter, so like 400,000 cars on an annual basis, and they are valued like all the car companies combined.
Yeah,
so that's really insane.
I read a theory the other day where they said that one of the reasons why the market has made such an amazing recovery since the March bottom was because there were a lot of people who were furloughed and who were made redundant and who had enough of a saving capital, and they still needed to pay their mortgages, and they don't want to just run their funds down to zero. So they went onto the market to either begin to trade or to learn how to trade or to invest and amass capital from that. And I think that's actually a quite interesting theory, because as I said to you the other day when we were out having coffee, there are a lot of people who you would never ever hear. There are a lot of people who you have before, until a few years ago or 1 year ago, never heard talking about stocks or company PEs and etc. Like 70-year-old women. I mean, I'm not being prejudiced here, but I've never heard any senior women talk about companies in those terms ever, and being active on stock forums. I've been active on stock forums for long enough now to have enough personal data to, and now all of a sudden there are a lot of categories that you didn't used to be interested in stocks whatsoever who are now very engaged in it. And to me, that's a bubble sign.
Yeah, for sure. I see it kind of like the same way as the poker boom.
Right.
It's really similar.
What was your experience with the poker boom in that sense?
Well, suddenly everyone played poker, and everyone was like the Christmas present of the year was a poker set. So everyone played poker, and everyone got into playing poker, and that's also why it was so easy.
And it peaked with all the celebrities.
Yeah, and it's kind of similar in this trading. Everyone's getting into it. I think that's part of the reason why it's been going so well for everyone who trades now, because everyone is getting in. So yeah, that's for sure a bubble sign.
So it's 1929 all over, the steep up. Do you think it will end well? Do you think people will land on their feet? We're talking the bulk majority now.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think that technology will save a lot of people, really, because technology really makes things cheaper and more efficient. So, like, the cost of living I think that will be pushed down, and I think there's signs of this already now in London, that a lot of people like in all over the world, I guess, it's an effect of Corona when people have been working from home. If you can work from home, a friend of mine, her friend went back to Poland to work from there, and I think Corona has forced a lot of people to work from home, and that it has forced a lot of companies to try this with their employees. And I think a lot of those companies will see that it actually works to work from home. And the extension of that is that people will be able to work from other places than, for example, London. So the friend I was telling you about, she moved back to Poland and because she has her friends in Poland, and the cost of living is less in Poland than in London. So it's a better deal for her. And I think that might open up eyes for other people to work from other parts of the world, or maybe move to other parts where it's cheaper, or maybe the climate is better. So I think that has some that will might depress the asset prices of real estate in London over time.
But doesn't that presume that this whole new way of doing business, or for companies to function, as in that people can work from home, that this will prevail, and that once the Corona, if it kind of slows down, that the companies won't require their staff to come back to the office? Or do you think that they will see so many benefits in not necessarily needing to have an office that...
Yeah, I think they might, because another guy I talked to, he started working January this year, and there are 300 people He's a programmer. He wants to work at Google. But yeah, he's been working from home. Everyone has been working from home. And now when the lease expired on the office space for 300 people, the company didn't renew the lease.
And this is Google.
No,
This wasn't Google.
No, he wants to working at Google.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
but that software company is working for, they didn't renew the office space for 300 people, and that's the company will save a lot of money on this. And I mean, owners and board and management will see the benefits of it. And I think also a big fear of many companies has been that when you work from home, you're not as productive as when you work from your office. But I think it's possible to be as productive or even more productive. And now they kind of are learning and developing ways of controlling or measuring productiveness when people work from home, and actually see that some people are really productive from home. Well, you have less travel to make, you have and not any colleagues bothering you, things like that. I noticed that when I trade, for example, if I trade with other guys, I get easily distracted, and I have better performance when I work in solitude.
Fair enough. On the other hand, a lot of people want to go to an office because for the very reason that they do have colleagues.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think there are solutions for that as well.
Like park hangarounds, laptops.
Yeah, because there are already companies like here in London that are gathering people on a certain day, like on a Friday. They have like a lunch together for 2 hours, the whole company. But that's once a week, and that's something that doesn't have to be at an office, really.
Maybe here's a business idea then, a timeshare for companies, so that you have the office every Monday or every Wednesday, and then do everything you need from laptops.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of
When I need royalty for anyone who steals my idea.
Yeah, that's I think that's a great idea, actually.
Right. So on a final note, then, what do you enjoy more, poker or trading? When you played poker, rather, did you enjoy poker more at the time than you enjoy trading now?
I think I enjoyed, poker more. That was, I think I enjoyed poker more because you were playing against other human beings. Even if you were playing online, there were a person playing against you. And well, trading technically, there's a person behind. Not necessarily, it could be an algorithm as well. But you don't have a interaction. But in poker, when you wanna pot against someone, that person could get angry and show their anger in the chat. And
if the banks or your opponents, if there were to be a chat function where when you buy derivatives, a bank employee would go bananas in the chat room and call you names, or
that would make it more fun.
Yeah.
For sure.
Jonas, an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you for taking me on board your beautiful plane. Next time it'll be on a jumbo jet, I'm sure.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. And I wish you all the best for your future trading endeavors, and until next time.